Hi guys, Nick here with BitGalaxis bringing you a new video on 3D game development, and today I'm going to revisit Blender. We're going to do part 1B of our Blender series because it's not really part 2, but there's a few extra things I wanted to talk about from the last video. So in the last video we had gone over creating a model and texturing it, and I had mentioned that there are a couple of different ways you can texture a model that would improve the way the last model worked, which was, if you remember, was a TV, and I had a problem aligning the textures properly. And that's because I was kind of just jumping into it and doing it real quick. But I'm going to show you a better way of doing that. The first way is actually just to unwrap and then export the unwrap as a texture, and then you can texture over that. And I'll show you how to do that now. So I've already got Blender open. We're going to jump into this real quick. I'm going to delete the camera using X, and then I delete. Click on this light, and I'm going to delete it by pressing X. And on this cube, I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to press Tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to press the number 3 to go to face select. I'm going to select this face. I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to press Control to drag it up and snap it. And so now I've got a cube that's too tall, and I'm also going to click on this face. I'm going to press E to extrude and Control to snap it. And I'm going to press E to extrude this side, and I'm going to hold down Control while I'm moving it to snap it. And now I've got this T shape. I'm going to go one more. I'm going to press E to extrude and Control to snap as I drag it. And now I've got this cross-looking shape. So what I'm going to do next is go into UV editing. And here I'm going to select all this. Just press A, and you see everything here. And you can kind of see how it looks like a big T because there's faces here and all that. What you can do is mark seams on your model. And the way that you'll do that is you will go into you'll have to go into edge select, and you'll do 2. And I want to select all these edges here. I'm just going to keep clicking through each of these edges. And then you'll see here, I've got this whole edge selected. I've got seams added around here. And what a seam means is, pretend that this object is going to get cut by a pair of scissors, right? And you're going to cut at all the seams. And then what you can do once you've cut it is you can flatten it out. And so I've cut it in a way that I think will make sense. But if you see here, I didn't cut this edge here because it's still black. And it kind of wraps around, and you'll see this long length of paper that kind of comes out the bottom. So it's going to fan out pretty much like 2 crosses and then a long line, hopefully. And we might see that, we might not. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go to UV, and then we're going to mark seam. And now we've marked our seam. So hopefully, if everything works out okay, we'll see how that works out. So now we're going to go unwrap. And if we press A to select everything, it didn't quite work out okay. Let's do UV unwrap again. There we go. Now we've got our unwrap. And so what you'll see is, just like I did, I marked the seam where it went all the way around. And so I have, you fold these up. It's kind of like origami. Every little line is a crease. And so we have our front plus and our back plus, and then that kind of wraps around to the bottom there. And so, then these kind of just wrap along to the side on this way, and then these kind of just fold along. So it'll make a 3D shape, but imagine if this were like, I guess paper craft is what you would call it. I think I've mentioned origami earlier. It's not technically origami. This is like paper craft. Pretend that you've made a paper model, and these seams are where you would cut it. And then when you want to actually texture it, then you'll have to put the texture over here. So now what you want to do with this is you're going to say UV on this side. You'll go UV, and you're going to say export UV layout. And it'll bring up this box where you can save it. And I'm just going to save it over here on the side. I'm just going to call it cross and export UV layout. So now what I've done is I have that cross, that image, that texture that pulls out is going to be this. What you can then do is, now since you know where everything's located, you can draw on this. You can actually go in there and edit the picture. Let's say we're going to say draw, and we're going to just draw a blue line over here and make a big smiley face. on the side and make some hands. Now, obviously, this is just pretty simple for the demonstration. Well, let's change this to red. We're going to do one side red, and we're going to do the other side green. And we'll do the back side yellow. And hopefully I got the right side, you know, because it doesn't guarantee I got it right. Okay, so I've saved that. And now I'm going to drag it back in here. And now you can see where my original UV mapping was is now it's actually on there. These lines are going to show up there. So remember how we go through and add that back in is we're going to go to material and we're going to say, we're going to assign that. We're going to say base color is going to be our texture, image texture. And the texture I saved it was cross. And then we'll change our viewport. And now we see, I got it wrong. I pretty much got it upside down because I forgot that I actually went, oh, did I not? No, I got it right. I got it right. There we go. I did. Front, right, left, back. So you can see there, we painted it, we've textured it, and it pretty much aligns as is because we didn't have to, adjust our UV texture at all. We actually exported it and drew on the UV texture. And that's something you can do that's really easy if you have a really complex model and you want to texture it properly without having to manually map it over something. Then this is the way to do it. This is just go ahead, mark all the seams you want where where you want to have like mostly flat surfaces together or combined, or in ways that make sense that you can map it out and then draw on top of it. But you'll want to mark seams, unwrap it, save the image, and then draw over that unwrapping. It's a really simple way of doing it for really complicated models. So then let's go into the next method. Because I want to show you how I would change how I did the TV model now that we've kind of got an idea of how these things work. So I'm going to go to File, New. So the second way that we can texture something more appropriately is to actually build our model based on the texture we're going to apply. Now this is not going to be something you want to do if it's a really complex model, but if it's something that's fairly simple, you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You've drawn your model, you have it textured the way you want it textured. So that's kind of one way to do it. A lot of times your 3D modeling experience might be that you draw your views and then you model it to those views and then you make a texture for it later. But if it's a fairly simplistic model like I'm going to create, then you can just go ahead and create your texture and your images for reference and use them as the same thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump into the side view and I'm going to zoom in. Actually, I'll delete my camera. I'll click it, press X to delete. Click the light, press X to delete. And then I'm going to press 3 to go to the side view on my numpad. And then I'm going to drag in this picture that I had made. I made this in pixelart.com. I'll put the link in the description. And I'm going to grab this and kind of center it there. I'm going to click on this cube over here. If you see right here, you can actually hide the cube by clicking on the eyeball and it's gone. And what I want to do is I want to scale this up a little bit, but I'm going to use this as my side view for this truck that I made. And I'm going to press scale and I'm going to say 1.6 is what I think I had it at. And then I'm going to drag this and kind of center it. So if you press G to grab, you can move it around on that plane. And so this is the side view by pressing 3 on my numpad. If I press 1 on my numpad, I'm going to also go to the front view. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag in this photo that I have on the front view. I'm going to scale it to the same. I'm going to do 1.6 so that they're both the same scale. And now I've got my front view, which is this here. And I'm going to drag that kind of right there. So this square here is my front view. And so if we look, you've got kind of two views there. And we're just moving our middle mouse wheel. We're clicking the button and then dragging it while that middle mouse wheel is pushed down. So what I'm going to do next is bring back the cube, click on the eye, and you can see here I've got a few things I want to do. I'm going to press 3 to go into the side view. I'm going to go to tab into edit mode, and on this cube I'm going to press the number 3 on the keyboard, not on the numpad, on the keyboard, and that changes it to face view. Click on that face, grab it, press Z to lock that grab on the Z axis, and then press Control to snap it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do A for all. If I press A, it's going to select everything. I'm going to grab it again, I'm going to press Y to lock it on the Y-axis. I'm going to hold Control while I drag it, and then that's going to lock it or snap it to the cube. And so one of the things that I want to do is, now I want to go here to this face. I'm going to extrude it by pressing E. I'm going to Control to snap it. And you can see here, I kind of made this just perfectly matching the pixels. I made this big pixelated art, and with the way I dragged it in there, by scaling it to 1.6, I was able to get it to match up with the grid pretty nicely. So, but it ultimately doesn't matter because we're still going to have to adjust this when we get the texture in, but right now we're using it as reference. Once I'm here, I want to extrude, and so press E. It'll extrude off the face anyway, so I don't have to press Z to do that. It's just going to go straight off the face. And then I'm going to hold control while I'm moving it to snap it and do that. Now I'm going to switch back to edge mode. So edge select is here if you want to click there, or you can press 2 on your keyboard. So 1, 2, 3 above QWE, but I'm going to press 2 above the W. I'm going to select this face. I'm going to grab it with G, and then I'm going to press Y to lock it on the Y-axis, and then I'm going to basically just make it kind of go evenly like this. And now I have the main body of my truck. Now I need to make the truck bed. One of the things I do need to do here, I need to actually make this face here a little bit taller. So I'm going to press 3 above the letter E to go into face mode. I'm going to select that face. I'm going to press G, and then I'm going to lock it to the Z by pressing the Z button, or Z on my keyboard, and I'm going to bring it up. And that is the overall shape of my truck with my reference. But now I also have to make that bed, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to hide the reference images because I'm not really a big fan of them being in the way right now. So I'm going to go into these empty objects and get rid of them. And now I'm going to add another cube. I'm going to explain why I'm doing this. So I'm going to press Shift A to add, and I'm going to click cube. I'm going to press G, Z to move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to control the snap, G, Y, and I'm going to snap it again by holding control. So G was to grab, Y was to lock it on the Y-axis. And now I'm going to bring back the reference image for the front because this is where it really matters more. I'm going to lock this in, so I'm going to go back to the back here. And so on these faces, let me tab into edit mode. I'm going to hide the main truck for now and bring back the reference images. And so here I am. And I'm going to actually go around. I'm going to press 1 to go to the front. And if you press 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, oh, 11 times apparently. This is going to bring me around to the back. If I press 5 to get out of orthographic mode, this will help me change my viewport settings so it matches the reference. I want to actually select this, tab into edit mode, and then just select these two faces. And I'm going to scale just on the x-axis, and I actually want to be, let me get back here, 5, and then scale x, and then drag these in so that they're kind of lined up with those pixels. So you see here, left to right, we're kind of lined up with this box here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring back the truck by clicking on the eyeball, and I'm also going to bring that up 1 pixel too. I forgot to do that. I'm going to press this, I'm going to press Z, and I'm going to just kind of eyeball it really. I don't think it matters too much now. As long as you can see that this width is the same as this height. Made me go a little bit higher, and that looks about right. And now I'm going to bring back the side view, hide the front view, and I'm going to go like this, G, Y, so G to grab, Y to lock it on the Y-axis. And I'm going to try and line it up with these pixels here. And actually, I think the easy way to do it is just kind of get the back of it to touch that, because it's pretty much lined up that way. So now you see here, I've got this cube and this other, it's called a cube, but really we've shaped it to be a truck. I'm going to hide this, And what we want to do is add a Boolean. And what this is going to do, it's going to cut into the shape. So I need to come here, click on the truck. And if you see an edit, it's because I messed up and I went back. So, but I click on the truck and then I go to this little wrench and there's a modifier. I'm going to add a modifier here and I'm going to go to Boolean. And now I need to pick on what it says right here, difference. So I'm going to click on that. Make sure that says difference. You can do intersect, union, difference. I'm using difference. I'm going to use this to collect an object. I'm going to click on this. And now I'm going to apply it. And if I do this, click on the cube and delete it. Ta-da! Now we have a truck bed. The only other piece we need is a wheel. I'll get to that last. We're just going to go ahead and texture this now to get started on that because the wheel is going to be really easy. So let's jump into texturing the wheel. So we'll go into our UV editing tab. And now we need to bring back in that image. So I need to click on the materials. And this material here, our base color, is going to be, since we've already dragged it in once, we shouldn't have to do this again. I'm going to say image texture. We're going to pick our truck albedo is what I called it. And now we can go to the side view with 3 on the numpad. Click these 3 things here. And we're going to go to UV and project from view. Select them over here on the left. And then we're going to do G to grab and kind of bring it down. And now you'll see it's not scaled right, but it is proportionally correct. So now we just need to scale it absolutely, and we'll kind of get it right, and then we'll grab it and line it up. And now what we should see if we go here is we have our truck. And since I need to get this, maybe scale it down just a little bit because it's not quite perfect, and then drag it back in so that there's no black. And now we have the side view done. We're going to do the same thing for this over here. We're going to go 3, and then I'm going to go, I'm going to keep pressing 6 on the numpad to go around until I'm all the way on the other side, and then I'm going to press 5 to change it back to orthographic view. And then I'm going to go UV, and we're going to project from view. I'm going to select these, and I'm going to scale my X -1. So I press S to scale, press X to lock it on X, and then I type in -1, and it flips it backwards. And now I'm good. I'll make sure I have everything selected here. I'm going to press G to grab it. I'm going to move it around, and I'm going to scale it up to about the right size and put it in place. And I think I need to also, again on this side, move it back just a little bit. And now we have that side of it. I didn't quite get it perfect. I'm going to do it again. I may need to scale it down a bit. Did I get it? Yeah, I think I'm good there. Okay, so that's generally how you can start doing that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the top real quick. So I'm going to go 7 is the top. Now, the problem with being on the top view like this, I can't just project from view. I'm going to press Shift key, and I'm also going to press 6 to rotate like this. And I'm going to make sure I press 5 to make sure I'm not in any other view. I want to be in orthographic, so I press 5 to make sure I'm in orthographic. I already was, but I pressed it to show you perspective. So just to verify we weren't in the wrong view. Now, on this one, am I in? Oh, I got to press into edit mode. So there's the truck bed. There's the top of the truck bed, and then there's the top. I don't want to catch the front side of it because I already did. I'm going to do that on the other view. I'm going to do that here from the front. So I'm just going to get the very top of the truck, the edge of the bed, and the bed of the truck. So then we're going to say UV, project from view. Now, the reason why I did it like that is because it gives you the perspective just like this. So I'm going to grab this, move it over. I'm going to scale it down, make it look about the right scale. Not quite there yet. I'm going to scale it up. And not quite there yet. And we're going to get this in here. If you want to zoom in too, this helps you kind of get it more accurate. You can do this to make it, you know, pretty close to perfect where you need it. Okay. So there's our truck bed. You can see here the inside still need to be done. The bottom needs to be done. The bottom I'm just going to basically... I'm going to go like this to the bottom, press 5 for orthographic, UV, and we'll do project from view. And we're going to grab all this and then scale it down. We're going to probably just make it all, I don't know, make the bottom of the truck. I really didn't consider that, so I'm just going to make it all black or gray. And you know what, we're just going to shrink this down really, really tiny. Since it's all going to be black, we'll put it in the black on this wheel, which is kind of silly, but it works. It's something you can do. It's not like you can't do that. So I also have the back view that I need to do. So we're going to go to the back. I'll do 1, 6 around. I guess you know I could do it from the side and 6 around, but this is how I always do it. And then I'm going to change it back to orthographic using 5 on the numpad. And now we're going to say UV, project from view, grab everything, scale it down, move it over here, kind of center it here, and then scale it back up. Close, close. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Scale it up again. And I'm going to scale it down just a bit. Oh, I scaled the wrong thing. I'm going to scale this. I was in the wrong pane. And there you go. So that's, you know, that's silly of me because that actually wasn't what I was meaning to do. I was meaning to do this for the back. The other one was the front. So the top is the front, and this is the back. On these two sides, I'm just going to make these red anyway. So put them in here. If you wanted to make them something, you'd have to build your mapping and then use it as a reference. But since they're just going to be red, not a big deal to me. Do it like that. And now we've got our front. I'm going to go to the front view, select these two, and then I'm going to say UV, and we're going to project from view. And now these should be a perfect fit. I shouldn't have to worry about it because I did use the reference for the front view. And I'll make sure I get it pretty close. We'll scale it up a little bit once we're ready. Still got it just a little bit. Get it even. And there we go. And now, tab out. We've got our little pixel truck. Now, this was kind of a design oversight on my part. I need this to be transparent to come inside. And so I really should like do a Boolean. I wanted to have like a glass and a transparent, but it's supposed to be like 2 seats. So anyway, I'm going to keep working as is. I'll go back and fix that later. Don't want to waste too much time on it on the video to keep it shorter. But then now I want to bring back my references, really just the side one, because I want to make a wheel. And then with the wheel, we can texture it once and then copy it. So it's not like we have to keep doing this. So we're going to go to the side view. I'm going to add so I press Shift A to add a cylinder. And the cylinder is too huge. I'm going to delete this. Press X, delete. I'm going to Shift A to add a mesh cylinder. Now down here, you'll see when you add cylinder or new and you don't do anything to it, it's going to give you these options. And that's like, oh, you've got 32 vertices. I'm going to make this 8 because that's more representative of what pixel really is. The radius, I'm going to make, I'm going to say it's actually only going to be 1. And the depth is, actually it's probably going to be 0.5 maybe. Still too big. I'm going to say 0.75. And that looks about right. The depth, I'm going to say is 0.25. Yeah, and the wheel probably isn't the exact right size, but we can change it later. I'll leave the location, but the rotation along Y definitely needs to be 90 degrees so that it's front facing. And then the rotation on, maybe on X, it needs to be 22.5. Oh, nope, I got it wrong. It needs to be Z, 22.5. I hope I don't get into gimbal lock. Oh, is it really? I got it in the gimbal lock. Shoot, shucky darns. Well, I'm going to, if you don't know what gimbal lock is that when you rotate something along X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis, you get to a point where you actually can't rotate them on an axis because they're overlapping. So the X and the Y-axis are actually, or the X and Z-axis now, rotating them are going to be the same axis because I've already rotated it on Y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Enter to save this, or I just click out of it. I'm going to grab it, and then I'm going to rotate along the Y. No, not Y. Along the X. So R to rotate, X to rotate. I'm going to do 22.5. Which, if you don't know, that's half of 45 degrees. If you've got an octagon and you want to rotate it so that the flat sides are the same side, like flat is, if you want to flip flat to top, you do 22.5. So that's, here you saw there was a point here instead of a flat surface. If you want to change that, just rotate it by 22.5 degrees. And the only reason I know that is because of Star Wars. The TIE fighters, the interior is rotated 22.5 degrees from the exterior. There's an incontinuity there, and I don't know why I remember that, but I saw that somebody pointed that out one time, and I've remembered it ever since, and I always see it. So hopefully I don't ruin the movies for you, but there you go. So now with this particular wheel, I'm going to scale it up just a little bit to match, and I'm going to keep it. I'm not actually going to. I'm not going to, try to make this perfect. I'm going to just center it and try to get the flat edges at least to each of the flat sides. And then I'll move it down. I actually don't have to do it like this. I just am. I don't have to like match it to the thing, but I want to do texturing on it. So I'm going to try and make it the same size so the continuity of the model. The wheels themselves, they don't have to be the size of the reference. If you want the wheels to be, they're too big. But for the continuity of the experience, like the pixels being the same size overall, you do want to keep it close to the reference like this. So now I'm going to go back to my UV. And here I need to apply materials. So I'm going to say new. And the base color, again, is going to be the image texture. We're going to use that same image. And now we're going to go back to 1. And we're going to say UV. Oh, sorry. Sometimes I lose that menu. If I lose like the UV menu, I go back to layout and then I go back to UV editing and it's back. I'm going to UV. And we're going to, right now you can see here, it's already unwrapped it for me and I didn't want it to do that. I'm going to go to UV, project from view. And now I'll bring this back down. I'm going to scale it down. And I'm going to scale it, so it's kind of pretty close and get all the flat edges to the flat sides. And we'll call that good. That's what our wheel is going to look like. And now I also want to make sure all the edges of the wheel are white or black. And I'm going to do Alt, and I'm going to click on kind of close to this line. If you click close to this line, it changes it. If I click close to that line, if you click close to the short line, like somewhere in here, it's going to select the entire edge. So pressing Alt and then clicking selects the loop. So it loops around. And then we can take this over here and scale it way down. It's going to be tiny, but it's going to be all black. And that's why we can do that. No big deal. And now we've got a tire. And maybe we should resize our tire a bit because it is still kind of small compared to the actual texture, just a little bit. And that's a little bit large, so I'm going to scale it again and kind of go in. The further away you put your mouse when you scale, the more you have to move it to scale it. And so that actually makes it more finite scaling. If you want to scale it large, you start close. So you start scaling here and you get close and look how fast it scales. But if you start out here and you scale, then look how much I have to move it just to get it to change a little bit. So if you want more finite control, move your mouse away. Now all I have to do is just do Control. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab it and go by pressing G, and then I press the Z on my keyboard to basically lock it on Z, and then I press Control to snap it. I'm going to grab it again, and I'm going to do X to lock it on the X axis, and then I'm going to do Control to snap. And now I have one tire there, and I don't know if you guys can hear that. My son's in there screaming in the other room. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do Control C. I'm going to do Control V to paste. I'm going to press G to grab and X to lock it on the X axis, and I'm going to hold Control to snap it. And since I've already kind of made it match this, we've already got it snapped there. I'm going to hide, since we don't really need these references, I can just delete them. And now I can just grab these two wheels. I'm going to do Control C, Control V, oops, Control C, Control V, G to grab, Y to snap it on the x-axis, and I'm going to do control to snap. And snap doesn't work now because it's no longer really close to reference. I'm going to actually have to kind of grab it, Y, and then just kind of line it up with the wheel wells. But there we have it. We've got a little pixelated model. We made our pixel reference image and then modeled to it. And then we applied, we used our UV, project UV, to map everything to the model. And that's it. That's really all it takes. I would recommend, this is a good method if you, like I said, for simple models. If you have something really complex, I recommend the first method in the video. But that's everything I got for you guys today. If you liked the video, please hit like, and I hope to see you next time.